What's going on tonight? Have you been here before?
The Bear season 3 is now, and I just finished binging all 10 episodes, so I'm going to give you guys my review right here. This is going to be kind of like a non-spoiler and spoiler review at the same time. I'm going to first start with my main thoughts in non-spoiler way, then go into a, kind of an episode breakdown, my favorite parts of each episode, then I'll give you my score by the end. But make sure you do leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos. It helps me a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But let's start with my non-spoiler thoughts. We'll talk about it, pretty quickly so we can get to the spoiler stuff. But I will say, off this, first watch, kind of just coming out of it, I think that this might be the best season overall. I think this is the most well-rounded season of The Bear, with some terrific episodes, all together. There's some really great episodes in here. There's some really amazing episodes in here. I didn't find any episode bad. Let's just say that. I think every episode is great to amazing here. I don't think any of the episodes kind of reach the height, the height and highs of from last season of Forks and Fishes. I think that those episodes are still the best that the series had to offer. But season 2 as a whole, I felt needed a little bit of work around the edges. While I think that this was really terrific in my eyes. It started strong, it ended strong. It didn't really end as strong as I wanted it to, which we'll get into why when we talk about that episode. But I think it started very strong. Performances from everyone in this show were all great. I'm not really gonna list everyone off here because I thought they all did a stellar job. I thought everyone here had a really terrific story. Some people had smaller stories than other people because they're supporting characters. I feel like the character that I thought got the shortest on the stick was Marcus. We didn't really get to see much of him in the season except for his big plot point in the third episode. I thought that he got the shorter end of the stick, but I really did love what they did with most of the other characters here. And of course we had some great cameos in here that we will talk about. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if all these same people won Emmys again. I wouldn't be surprised if the show won an Emmy again, because it is in the best comedy category. That category is not very stacked now that you don't have Barry, Ted Lasso in there. So this is just going to rack up all the awards for the next year or two. But yeah, I think that this is definitely my favorite season so far. If I were to rank the seasons, I'd probably go season 3, season 2, then season 1. Season 1 is just my least favorite because it's just the introduction. It doesn't feel like it's fully maintained its footing, while in season 2 got there, maintained the footing. A little looser on the edges, as I said, but this is really well-rounded. So yeah, I really thought this season was excellent. But now we're going to get to the spoilers, the episode breakdown. So make sure you leave a like on this, go back and watch it, come back here and watch this episode review breakdown. But if you've already seen it, stay for the breakdown. Let's first talk about that first episode. I really did love this episode. I felt like this was one of the best episodes this show had to offer, like a top 5, top 10 episode. This show, almost felt like a silent episode because it's filled with very little dialogue. But what's on screen, what's being shown is kind of beautiful. The editing keeps you in check, keeps you locked in, just like the show continues to do. The editing in the show is just fantastic. And as I said, it's like kind of no dialogue. There's a little bit, as I said, but it's just focused on the past and kind of the death of Mickey, how that kind of happened, how Carmy went to New York and got bullied by the chef, played by Joel McHale, who does a great job of playing an asshole. It's kind of like a prologue to this whole series, kind of takes place before season 1 and all that. But I really did love it. It was just a beautiful way to look at how Carmy just developed his skills and all that, how he kind of had to deal with all this bullshit from this terrible chef that thinks he's doing the right thing by being terrible to these people, being rude to these people and looking down on these people. But it got Carmy into who he was now, which is kind of a good person some days, a bad person the other days, has a lot of panic attacks and all that, regrets a lot of his decisions, but he's still a great chef. So I really did love the first episode. The second episode continued to be amazing. It was the introduction of the non-negotiables, and this was just hilarious because the non-negotiables were absolutely insane, but you can't negotiate them because they're non-negotiables. And you got to see Neil again. I think Neil is the funniest character in this show alongside Richie. I thought he just cracks me up a lot. And the whole thing, the whole episode actually took place in just this one spot, basically, just in the little kitchen area in the Bear restaurant. I thought that was amazing. It just took place in this one spot with some great dialogue going back and forth. You had Carmy and Richie fighting it out. You had just Neil naming off some random stuff. You had the light going off, and everyone's like, "Am I having a stroke?" And another person comes in the room, they see the light go off, they're like, "Am I having a stroke?" And I'm like, and this is just insane. I thought this was just a great episode, and I just loved how Richie played off of Carmi. He's like, this is ridiculous. These non-negotiables are ridiculous. Change the menu every day, and I'm like, it kind of is ridiculous. But Carmi, he's an amazing chef. He wants to be the top of his game. That's what he learned from Joel McHale's character. But yeah, as I said, I really did love this episode. It leads right into episode 3 when you're kind of dealing with Marcus's mom's funeral. That's kind of like his big moment in this kind of season here. He was not really focused on except for this, which kind of sucks because I really did love him in like season 1, season 2. Now they're dealing with the non-negotiables in the kitchen, in the restaurant, and it just didn't go good for them. It's just an all-out disaster because you have everyone trying to deal with this new menu, everyone trying to memorize it. Neil's really stressing out. He's like, it's time for a surprise. And then Carmi's like, he brings in a pinata, and Carmi's like, no surprise. And Richie comes in, he's like, yes, fucking surprise. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I thought that was just some terrific acting. And one of the funniest scenes I think I've seen from this show was when Carmi told Neil to go bring out this like broth and stuff like that. It was kind of a new dish with like broth and all that. And he said, pour this in front of the guests and pour it for them in front of them so they can see. And Neil went out to the guest and poured the broth in front of him. He's like, I'm supposed to show you this. Poured the broth in front of them and then took it back to the kitchen. And oh my God, I just started laughing so much because he was supposed to give it to them after pouring it to them. And Carmi just looks at him dumbfounded and says, what is wrong with you? I absolutely love that moment. It was just, oh, it got me laughing so much. I think Neil's just hilarious. I don't think he can really be trusted with the restaurant, but he is a very funny character in this show. In the 4th episode, you open with Carmi and Claire, and they're having their moments here. It kind of breaks your heart because they were so good together and all that. Their conversations were really great together. Then you got the return of Pete, the least stressful character in the show, the character we don't get to see a lot, but he's kind of like the happiest character in the show. Then we got our first big cameo. It was Josh Hartnett. What a big surprise. We got Josh Hartnett in this show before he's going to be coming up in the movie theaters with Trap, in a month or two. So that's really cool. I love that cameo. And it was actually a decently calm episode. Nothing really big happened except that, but I did love that cameo. In the fifth episode, you got Olivia Colman's character, Chef Terry. She's decided to close her restaurant. So that's kind of a big deal. And Nat is dealing with a lot of things. She's dealing with the stress of a restaurant, dealing with the stress of she's going to be having a kid soon. They're prepping for the Tribune. The Tribune's going to come and take photos since they already got a surprise review, but that review's not out, so they're stressing about that. And then John Cena cameos as a fact brother. I was like, no way they got John Cena, but they did get John Cena. And they're talking about haunting each other because that family, they have a haunt thing going on. I thought John Cena's cameo was also pretty terrific. Then the 6th episode is kind of a big episode because this was directed by Edibiri. I think this is her first time directing anything. And this was actually Tina's episode. So she got a whole episode to herself, which is awesome for her. But I wish, Marcus kind of got a bigger spot to shine. Also, maybe he'll get a bigger chance to shine in the next season. But Tina got her own episode here. And we got a kind of a look at her life before working at the restaurant. She had like this sort of desk job, but she got let go. Her searching for new jobs was kind of an emotional journey for her because she just went from restaurant, she went from place to place just handing out a resume, and you got the young people telling her, you got to do this online and all that, we're not hiring and all that, some disrespectful stuff happening to her. Then she finds the beef, and it's crazy to see her so confused by everything after you've already seen her in these first 2 seasons, doing so great in the restaurant, talking to people about all this food and stuff. So it's kind of crazy to see her just going here, like actually, be confused by everything. And Richie gives her a free coffee, gets her a free sandwich. She starts crying and all that in the restaurant because she's down in her luck, doesn't have a job and all that. And you get more John Bernthal, which means more happy me. Him and Tina, have a great conversation. I really did love that, 5 to 10 minute conversation that they had. And she does get hired, but he's like, this is sometimes a bad restaurant. Sometimes the pay is bad. Sometimes we have a lot of fights, but overall we're a family here. So that's what they were kind of talking about. I think that is also a top 5, top 10 episodes of this show. I thought it was really beautiful, and I love the character journey for Tina. And I thought Io did a great job directing it. in episode 7, you started off with having the Fact brothers talking about being haunted. It kills me every time when they're just talking about being haunted. Are they, when they're like, "Are we being haunted here?" And it's great. It's funny, and they had a great talk about legacy in this episode, talking about like what will you be remembered for. Old beef employees are rehired to help because they're running the beef restaurant out of the drive-through window. In the mornings, in the day, and then doing the fancy stuff at night. And Nat in this episode at the end, when she's trying to get an option, she goes into labor, leads into the next episode when she does have the kid. Everyone's phones from last episode are in the locker, so she can't really call anyone. So who does she call? She calls her mom, which we haven't seen for a while, and that is Jamie Lee Curtis. So Jamie Lee Curtis does come back. I think we all expected this to happen, and she's still as hilarious as ever. Her character is just hilarious. She's trying to take up all the time to shine while her daughter is literally having a baby here. It's a good sort of emotional episode for the relationship between these two characters. Even though I don't really care about these characters as much as the other people, I thought it was a really, well written and well made episode. And, I thought some good conversations got out of this episode. I will say I did love Jamie Lee Curtis in here. I thought she just did a great job. She just comes in for these one episodes in the last 2 seasons, does a great job with all of them. Then episode 9, you have a little bit of a scene in the dumpsters where no one still breaks down the boxes after it was told in non-negotiable. That's gotta be so annoying. No one's breaking down the boxes, and then the Fact brothers are like, are you being haunted by Claire? And he's like, maybe I am being haunted by Claire. And Carmi's still dealing with the loss of Claire. They're still not together. He still doesn't really talk to her and all that. Some reviews are not good for the restaurant overall. And I loved the shot in this episode of Carmi staring at Richie through the window in the restaurant. He's in the kitchen. Richie's out there, talking to the guests and all that, because that's what they do. I love this shot of just them staring at each other. Thought that was terrific. Neil visits Claire at the hospital. He's trying to get her to go back and talk to Carmi and all that. Not really working though. It's a great scene though. I really did love the conversation they had there. I still have hope for Carmi and Claire in the next season. Hopefully it does pan out for them. Then we got to talk about the finale. I thought that was a great finale. I didn't think it was as strong as the opening though. I still thought the finale was great. I love the opening of him learning these new things from these prestigious chefs, him still starting out, him still learning all these new ways. You got the return of Richie and Garrett with the forks. I thought that was just terrific. You got to see Richie and Garrett together from that legendary, best episode of the series in season 2. You got more Will Poulter, which was cool to see. He had a lot more lines in this episode. They kind of talked about the joys of cooking and working in a restaurant and giving joy to others, the magic of what a restaurant and, excellent food can do to people. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that conversation. It's talking about enjoying their jobs, giving joy to other people. That's what makes their job special. I thought that was just a beautiful conversation. And Carmi goes and talks to the New York City chef, which was Joel McHale, and he talks about how he almost destroyed him, gave him panic attacks and all that. And what does he say? He says, "You're welcome," because he made him into this person, made him into this, great chef who now has this great restaurant. But that's not what he wanted to hear. He didn't want to hear that, and he kind of like destroys them even more. But it kind of actually does, he kind of does understand how to talk with Olivia Colman and all that. So it does kind of work out for him. But at the same time, the chef Joel McHale is still a very bad person. And then by the end of the episode, the Tribune review comes in on Carmi's phone. And we are left with a to be continued, which it kind of irked me the wrong way. We got a to be continued because I don't know why we're to be continued on a season 3. I don't know. I don't remember if they had that on a first season or a second season of the to be continued, but that's kind of actually a big cliffhanger. I don't know why they ended it there. That's probably like my least favorite part of this was that to be continued, because even though we're probably going to get the next season next year, I'm just kind of upset about that. But yeah, this show has been going on for the last 3 years. If you think about it, this show has been just racking it, filming the episodes, getting them out real quick. I think they only take like 3 months to film these, because we had a season 2021, actually 2022, 2023, and 2024, one every year. Hopefully get another season next year. But overall, season 3 of The Bear, I thought it was amazing. I think it's the best one yet. So many great, character moments in the episodes. So many great, emotional moments in these episodes. So for The Bear season 3, I'm gonna give it a strong 9 out of 10. As I said, I think it's my favorite season yet. If you did watch The Bear season 3, leave your thoughts down below. I'd really love to talk to you guys about that. If you did enjoy my review, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.